Hey guys, back with another Maplestory video here. This time, a little bit of a throwback on my phone again. Man, is it hard to go from phone to PC and then back to phone? I totally understand why people were so shocked that I was playing on the mobile for so long, because mobile is tough. Mobile is annoying, especially with like movement skills, especially with like using the commander specific, the boss specific gauge for like will and stuff. It is, yeah, just you can't see as much either. It's definitely takes an adjustment too. And once you get the good life of being on a PC with the PC client, it is the mobile. It just is just the Walmart version. But just wanted to showcase Erel post 235. I got the will skill. I got the last symbol as well. So my stats are around 47.7 mil cap, over 45k physical attack. And so I just wanted to test out DPS. This is boss rush. First runs post, bossing run, post all of that, new stats. So kind of excited to showcase it. Even the arcane power and I was able to get to 150% arcane power with the symbol. So now I'm getting that extra 5.4 mil cap and the extra stats. So my damage is actually pretty close to capping end game bossing. And in solo 60-second content, Erel feels pretty good with my current cap. Now, I'm not sure if I cap all my lines. I think there's still some 30 mil-ish lines in there that can hit harder. But for the most part, I think this is definitely better than my Demon Slayer would be at this same gear level. And it might be a tier below Paladin, but still very, very strong. It honestly might be right up there with Paladin, but still very strong. I want to showcase Gloom, the first run, and Erel is pretty solid. My main focus here was just bursting, just using my damage as much as possible, and maximizing DPS. Since I thought my DPS wouldn't be that valuable, trying to wait for the eye, I just wanted to make sure I got it as much time as possible. So you can see I'm in the first 40 seconds here, actually cranking pretty good. We have good burst with our V3, and it's a good iframe as well. And Erel in Gloom, even though it doesn't have the dashes that I'm used to or comfortable with, it's still pretty good. We have options as far as using iframes for this Petrify room, and it's nice. It's on a 60-second cooldown. This iframe for Erel is 8 seconds long. So basically, we get it the entire time. Pretty much every Petrify room, if everything lines up pretty nicely, we're going to have that as a pretty much go-to, eliminate that mechanic of the boss. We did have a little bit of a harder time with Petrify room, so I think the timings did get messed up throughout the run. But for the most part, Erel has an answer to every Petrify room, which is nice, makes it easy, and their mobility is good to get on top of the tentacles with the double jump into the blink fly up. So no issues there. There were a few times where I jumped up a little bit too high here and then ended up proccing Heaven's Door, but that's the beauty of kind of playing with the Sia. Sia's really just mask and cover up a lot of mistakes. And here I bursted right through it to get that iframe as well through the Petrify room. So just utilizing the iframes that Erel has, and then just trying to dodge that right there, tentacle, to rinse and repeat sort of the mechanics. So I really enjoy Erel. I think Gloom is one of those bosses that Erel, with more gear, will actually shine a little bit brighter because of the way that their skills work with the summons, with the long range of attacks as well. It makes it for pretty good to just constantly keep uptime on the boss and maximize its DPS. In comparison to Demon Slayers and Paladins, mine anyways, I think that Erels and Demon Slayers are actually very good in Gloom compared to Paladins. I don't think Paladins are as good because of the way that their skills are. Sorry, I was looking at what I did there. But as far as the way that the skills and damage breakdown is, I think Erel and DS might have Paladin beat in Gloom. And I think Erel might be the best of the three. Now, I think that in this run, the reason for it is because they just have that 8-second cooldown iframe for 60 seconds, which is something that Demon Slayers and Paladins really don't have, even without Sacro. And if you're the top DPS of your team and you end up getting Paladin Sacro, yeah, Erels are just going to be insane in this boss. So I do think Erels are going to perform well in Gloom, and survivability is pretty up there, even though they don't have a dash chance. I think I can hit right here. Nope. It's the next one. It's about 5 minutes in. Under 5 minutes in, right now, it looks like I'm over 200 build DPM. So, very, very good. Very good damage. Very good consistency. The uptime is solid. The movement is you can get used to it and performs well in Gloom. And then Petrify Room again here. Use my iframe just to be safe. I think one thing I could have done better here was I could have blinked up first and then used my iframe, because sometimes I used blink at the very last second and then the eye opened up and I didn't have a blink charge ready to go. It was still on cooldown for the eye opening. But here, I'm pretty sure I die here, yeah. Hourglass saves me right there. And probably the iframe probably saved me there again, or something saved me, but didn't save others. We ended up not having the greatest run. 0 lives left with 4 minutes left. So it wasn't the greatest, but I think I played pretty well for the most part. I was just fortunate enough where, oh gosh, yeah, like I proc Hourglass or Heaven's Door again, somewhere right there. So I was just one of those fortunate people that ended up proccing the Hourglass while others ended up just taking the lives. So this could have been a lot worse for me. Could have looked a lot worse too as far as death totals. But I was actually able to crank out up here pretty good. Maximize my uptime. Use my burst. Got a little laggy here too. Oh, maybe that's why. Yeah, I got a little laggy there too. I don't think I got full duration of that V3. I was wondering why, looking at the battle analysis, why I missed out on 2,000 lines here for my V3. You'll see in a second here, but almost 200 bill. If I actually, yeah, oh no, destruction did do what it needed to do. Yeah, so just under 200 bill. A faster fight probably could have got it there, but I felt like I played pretty well regardless, and that was Gloom. And then we went into Archon. Maybe Archon. And I was able to actually get a good phase 1 here, so I actually cranked out a little bit more DPS than normally. But this was a good run by the team in general. Again, burst is pretty good. Hitting pretty hard, I think, here. I think that there's still some lines that aren't capping or hitting that hard, but I think for the most part, I'm pretty close to capping here with Boss Rush anyway. And one of the things that I like about Erel is that, again, the attack range is so far. I'm able to sort of dodge crystals here, but also maintain DPS, maximize DPS compared to other classes. And so here, since I'm using my toolkit, I have iframes available. I'm not really in any sort of harm's way as far as crystals. Just trying to kite out there. So I'm able to just kind of maintain DPS, maintain uptime. Almost did 300 bill. Did around 300 bill that first minute. So the burst is there. Pretty solid for an Erel in general, without split as well. And I think once I run out of my iframes here shortly, I'm going to move over to the right side. Didn't want to really risk a death here nonchalantly. But I'm still able to crank out decent damage with good uptime. So yeah, I think I run away here. just to be safe, but it's towards the end. So I got pretty much good value on the phase 1 DPS, and it lined up pretty nicely with my damage in general. I think I burst here, pop all my cooldowns. I ended up manually using all my cooldowns, and I think it worked out pretty nicely, pretty well, just so that I'm maximizing it as much as I can, especially in phase 3. So I found out that works out well for Erel. They only have 3, pretty much only 2. I have 3 skills on my preset in that top middle button, but really only 2 is necessary. I think it's Turtle Guardian and Sentinel Rise. So those are the 2 main heavy hitters. And phase 2 is just straight DPS. So just straight burst, straight damage, just stand there and tunnel. Was never really in harm's way here. In a good kiting position as well, where I'm avoiding any unnecessary damage, and our team is absolutely cranking. Absolutely cranking here. So 3.5 minutes in here, about 800 bill. So feeling good about that. Already doing over 200 bill damage there. As far as burst wise, in 2 minutes is pretty solid. So here we're gonna wait. Since the statues didn't turn purple right away, we're just waiting this time out to fill our gauge here. So sometimes we end up stunning in the corner, but I think we're standing a little too close. Like crystals are gonna spawn right there. So we could have been a little bit farther away, but I think for the most part, I stun right there just to keep the boss in that corner while we can pop our shields here. That is probably the safest strategy still. I've run a few times where we sort of were aggro with our stun and tried to skip that initial screen crack altogether. But it seems like this is kind of the safest way to get consistency and for the shield procs to proc and line up nicely. So this team honestly does a great job of just procking their shields, stepping off, not being greedy with DPS. And we're right back on it here. Again. And it's important for those teams that are trying to do Archon with maximum trying to min-max DPS and damage and are close to like the DPS threshold, that they really maximize their burst window altogether. A lot of classes have like a 1 minute burst window duration wise. So it's super important to chain these stuns during that window, especially. Like Erel's downtime it's 80 seconds on, 40 seconds off. Most classes are less than that, so I think if you're trying to maximize damage, it's always important. Once you get those, you got to get those that burst window, 2 to 3 times in a row. Pretty quick trigger on the shield breaks, and the damage kind of naturally flows through. You see a lot of people are cranking and passing me in DPS wise on the rankings, but we're all just, as we improve our shield breaks, and it almost feels like we sort of have bad timing here, so we stunned there, and it throws off our timing. So I almost wonder that stuns aren't necessary, and they kind of, once you get a nice cycle going, like right there, a lot of our shields broke, and this cycle right here actually takes a while. Like we miss one, and then crystals come, and I think we miss again. I think crystals come again. People start to die here. Not for this one. I died right there. So, yeah, and then timing just gets thrown off just slightly. So, like, we're kind of missing, like, shields are breaking here, there, and it just creates a bad cycle. So, yeah, crystals here. I think people die here. Or they jump off. And, yeah, crystals again. So I think screen crack is going to come up. Nope, finished it off right there. So team actually did a really good job. Had a few mishaps there, but still 9 lives live. Insane run by the team. And the DPS showed it. We were able to get insane uptime. My DPS was really good. Team overall, solid. Solid group. Thursday group is the best team that I run on mechanically. And honestly, a lot has to do with that, with Warren. Warren at the top with his Sia support is just really keeps a lot of things hidden and in check and deaths when it seems like things will fall apart. And then final boss of the day, Will. One-shot all these bosses. Will might have been the smoothest of all the runs, to be honest. And that's saying a lot because our Archon was really good. But it was actually... So we had a few new members fill in on this run. And it was actually... Of course, the sweatiest part always is this first 12 seconds. So if you haven't run Will... The first 12 seconds is sort of the barometer for if you have enough DPS. Not 12 seconds. The first 62 seconds. This first test cycle is the first barometer. It's kind of the main barometer for DPS. So we had to take time leap early, and kind of just wait out the burst. And it gets really close here. I think we end up getting it at the last second. Stunned, and right down to the very end, hit the zeros right at 58, 59. So that was as sweaty as it gets, but watch how once we get that, it's actually a very smooth run. Like, it's crazy how that is the hardest part, and then the final time for the run is actually a lot faster. It's like not even close to being a 15-minute run when mechanics in phase 3 go well. So I'll kind of showcase that a little bit. We had a few mishaps, of course. Nothing's perfect, but for the most part, getting through that first test just in time, clearing that, we were home. We were kind of smooth sailing after that. So we started in purple room, switched over to blue here. Here comes the test in a few minutes, or in a few seconds. We switched over to purple, and then it's just bursts. Pop my cooldowns here. I think immediately, there's my V3 again. Paired nicely with DS4. Erel has good, since that V3 burst is such a small, it's like only a 3 to 4 second window, it really allows you to really maximize it with DS4 pretty frequently. It comes up, it's easy to pair with it. You can kind of use it the last second of DS4 too if you needed to, and you're still able to maximize the lines, and that's crucial for Erel. And you can see my damage is not bad. Right, but we're here waiting 12 seconds per usual for this next test. And Warren just absolutely cranking at the top. And one of the things that we really try to focus on here, especially during this test, is just aware of those attacks right before we get into this room. Will, for some reason, continues to attack like well into, like, it gets stunned right there, but it attacks well into like the test, like right when the test happens. So we got to be really careful with that, with the disorient attack and it just getting comboed into a death. But we got through that test. Phase 1 for some reason has been the hardest part of most of my newer team runs. I ended up being in the wrong room there. But yeah, once we got through phase 1, phase 2 feels a lot easier than phase 1 for some reason. There's just more consistency with the test. Here, able to pop V4 right away. Pretty much, V3, V4 right off of cooldown. So again, I'm able to just, quantity and quality of those attacks is crucial for maximizing DPS in Will, especially in like a 14-minute run. So we're here chilling. Not bad. 47 mil cap. What do you think this DPS is like? Do you think this DPS is pretty good? Around 760 bill damage in 5 minutes. So about 150 bill DPM. That feels a little bit better. Feels a little bit better than my Demon Slayer. We got to watch those attacks there. But yeah, see my HP is low, so I'm just going to use an iframe there just to be safe. from that. Impenetrable skin is up just in case, so I use it right here, and then I tried to jump up, but I ended up jumping out of the circle, but it worked out fine. Popped an iframe, and we're on to phase 2. So phase 1, stressful, but team made it look easy. 9 lives left. Should have been 10, but I think they died in the wrong room. But here in phase 2, stun. Main thing is heals. Everyone, I'm looking at HPs, at health, making sure, calling out, making sure everyone's using their skills, their gauge to heal and to get healed passively. Sort of prematurely used my V3 there before timely, but bursting good, actually cranking. Team actually cranked here in the first 30 seconds. We're able to get down pretty much with instantly get down into this test mode. And a little sneaky thing that you have to pay attention to as an aggro, as the tank here, make sure that the aggro does not go back to the test until the banner comes. A lot of times newer aggros mess up. Once they see the person go to the bar, or once they see the HP hit the bar, they move over and face the boss left, and then sometimes he'll attack and disorient the team. Everyone has to blink back and it gets panicked. So make sure as the tank that you are waiting until the banner shows up for the test before facing the boss left, because it's happened too many times where I've seen the team get wiped and die and have to reset the test and fail the test because of a aggro positioning and kind of hitting the team at the last second. So just be careful of that. Don't get too relaxed. Will has some weird mechanics and timing of skills that really throws things off. But you can see we're in a good spot here, bursting really hard, damage-wise, DPS-wise, but people still take damage, even on the left side. So you can't just assume that even though the boss is facing right here that you're not going to take any damage. Make sure that you're looking at your HP. Someone is calling out HPs here to heal, to use your gauge. And like right there, the knockback at the last second of the test, you always got to be careful of that. And see, Warren doesn't move until banners right there. So he did a good job there. Always got to be careful near the test. Don't get relaxed. Don't just prematurely face the boss to the left. Make sure that he's not going to attack onto the team and kind of cause panic right before the test. So like even there, a lot of people's HP dropped. Got to be very careful with that. Need someone to call out to make sure gauges. Like that's just not anyone's fault. Like you're going to take damage. You just got to make sure you heal up, press the gauge, and don't let your HP dwindle down too far so that you get comboed into something and get screwed up. So great job by the team, phase 1 and phase 2. And phase 3 is as smooth as it gets when it comes to Warren. Sia, having your rotation, Bishop rotating with Shell and Benediction. We did a good job with our yellow eyes here. But again, one of the things that I've learned as I'm trying to still build new teams is that you have to be aware of some instances where poison can get knocked back and it can transfer to someone else. Warren does a great job in this run. We don't run into the issue, but there are some little things that can really throw off the team. And it's just always about communication and being aware that poison can switch from one person to another. And you got to be aware of if it hits the team on the left, that you are moving accordingly. So they're poison again. Here comes yellow eyes here. Warren uses something. Sia's skill to keep the team alive. And we try not to have too many people go over to the right side here to cleanse webs. Usually 1 or 2, just to keep it from getting too hectic. I don't like when when too many people cross over. It just causes too much issues with knockback, possibly getting poison. Those people getting selected for poison. So just have people that are a little bit more on top of it go to the right, so they know the timings, they know how to get in and out quickly without causing any harm to the team and creating more issues. Yellow eyes there again. We had Shell and Benediction for that one. I ended up stunning here too. The reason I stunned there was just so we got maximum stun opportunities here. I didn't want to wait too long to die here. Got stuck like a fool. But we had 3 minutes left. I just wanted to use it, and then just in case we use it again, we'll have another use of it around the 1 minute mark. So a few single deaths here and there. But I think we end up getting our burst here and actually crushing it down pretty good. So if you guys remember, like I mentioned, that first 52 seconds of the fight is the DPS checkmark. Like you'll see here, we had such a hard time getting to that, barely clearing it. But for phase 2 and phase 3, as far as having enough DPS to clear comfortably, not having to go down to the last 5-10 seconds, we're in insane shape here to clear with plenty of time to spare. I think we clear with over a minute left. So it just goes to show you how there's the DPS check is really that first minute. And if you handle you can run into issues when you don't handle your yellow eye as well, but when you figure out your phase 3 mechanically well, the yellow eyes and when to use it, and you have skills to rotate through and stuns. Now look at this, we're crushing it. We cleared with over a minute left, no problem, because of how well we handled phase 3. No deaths, just tunnel vision, DPS, and figured it out. So almost 150 vel DPM, better than my Demon Slayer with around the same gear. Not sure how it compared to Paladin. I think Paladin might be slightly better, but Erel feels good. Erel feels really good, has options, iframe skills. DPS is pretty simple, but thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.